All right. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the system essentially that made me 25K a month with my essentially AI setter automation agency, right? So I essentially build out AI setters into coaches' businesses, uh, B2C businesses for customer support, etc., e-com brands. Yep. Well, essentially any business that's on Instagram and has a website, right? So let me quickly open up, let's get a sticky note up and going, right? So, Instagram, right? Some people hate it, some people love it. I love it because it makes me money, right? Now, from Instagram, what exactly is the strategy? The strategy is essentially, one second, outreach. So, outreach, you know what it is. I don't have to explain anything at all. So, essentially doing outreach at scale, right? So, let's move over quickly to the outreach section, right? I'm going to be going over how to do at scale. Scale, right? So for scale, we need high volume, right? So what exactly is high volume? In my opinion, anything over 20 accounts is high volume. But for example, I use 100 accounts. Now you might think that's crazy, that's unrealistic. Well, look at my content on Twitter, YouTube. You can see that I do it all the time. So how do how exactly do the actual 100 accounts work, right? But before we get to that, we need essentially DM variants, right? So we'll put this, right? So if you don't really know how to do proper variants, because a lot of your outreach sucks, to be honest with you, I get cold pitched every single day, like at least 40 to 50 times across multiple platforms. Make sure to watch my under my other content, right? But now let's go into the system. So essentially, the system is all right, so now we have essentially the proxy and account for every single one. Now we actually need to send the DMs, right? So now that we have the proxy to hide the location, the account to send, we essentially now need the DM sending tool, which in this thing is called DMs Pro. Cool. So that is our sending. Now, how do we manage the inbox of 100 accounts, and how do I do it? Now, essentially, this tool is kind of a lesser known tool, but it's also an AI setter that I build out into the businesses. It's essentially a software in itself. It's called instaset.me, right? So we connect this, and it also has a essentially a centralized inbox, right? So that means it's not only an AI setter, you can connect hundreds of accounts and manage it all in one place. I have multiple clients and multiple coaching clients essentially that are doing this, and there's no issue whatsoever, right? Now, now we have the system. How many DMs are we able to send, right? So we always have the warm up period, obviously, right? Let me go over. Let's get letters way bigger. I'm gonna do white. So we have the warm up period, right? So the warm up period after you buy the age account is going to be, you're gonna rebrand bot followers day one. Rest day two, do not touch it. Day 3, set up DM sending and start at 5 DMs a day. Every day, up it by 5 DMs, right? Until you get essentially to the range of 50 to 80 DMs a day. DMs daily. Now, this is cool and all, right? Doesn't really mean anything to you, I'm guessing. But how does that look like on a scale level? So let's get another box open. So if one account essentially sends, we'll do 50 DMs a day, DMs daily. 10 do 500. 100 do 5,000. Now, there's roughly 30 days in a month, more or less. So that is essentially, if we do 5,000 DMs a day for 30 days, it is 150,000 DMs a month, which is a crazy number because most of you will obviously never even send anywhere close to this, right? So now, what are reply rates usually like, right? So it really depends on every single niche and offer. But what I like to aim for is at least a 3% response rate. But for my sanity today, we'll do 1%. Actually, no, I lied. We're going to do 3. So if we're sending 5,000 DMs daily at a 3% reply rate, 1% of 5,000, if I'm not wrong, is 50. So we'll get roughly 150 replies a day. Roughly on average, 50%, more or less, they go between 33 to 66%. So I'm averaging out in the middle. Is a cannot type today. Positive reply rate. Qualified out of those, qualified is roughly 80% of that. And then engaged, or leads are actually actively chatting back, is roughly 60%. Engaged. Also, if they're not qualified, you have a bad lead list, right? Anyway, so engaged, they are essentially, obviously engaged, but most don't book. But we'll do another 60% of those, 60% book. So what is the numbers, right? 150% replies. So we have 75 positive replies. Out of this 75, 80%, if I'm not wrong, is more or less 60 qualified. 60% of 60 qualified, if I'm not wrong, is like 40-ish. So 40 are engaged. And then theoretically, 60% should book, right? So that's essentially 23 calls a day, right? Which is a super high number. But the main issue you'll find is essentially, as the space is getting competitive, it is going to be 1%. So it's 1/3 of this, right? So 1/3 of 25 or 20, whatever, is essentially 6, right? But right now I'm doing 100 accounts and I'm getting between 10 to 15 calls a day, right? So ideally, qualified is always going to be lower. This is an ideal scenario. 50% positive replies from 150 replies a day. That's usually realistic from what I've seen, but qualified is usually lower, like 60. Engaged is usually like 50, but this is in an ideal scenario. And this is essentially the same system that's scaling to 25K a month, essentially selling AI agent build outs. But yeah, so hopefully you understood all of this. Below, I actually just released colddmsacademy.com, and essentially it's an academy where I teach you how to build a system and essentially give away scripts, leads, everything you need to be successful, everything you need to have 100 plus qualified leads in your pipeline every single month and be booking at least 20 calls a month, right? So if you want to, check it out. There's a 3-day free trial. And besides that, hope you found value in this. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter at Legion Adrian or on Telegram at Adrian Solar.